You seen the video about Florida's most...
So this dude was going around and he was spraying bug shit on, well, it'll show it. It'll show it. He shows it right here. This dude is going to jail for a bit for being a clown.
Things have gotten so much worse for the TikToker who poisoned food at Walmart for a prank, as he's now pleaded guilty to 2 felony counts of adding poison and harmful
2 felonies?
substances to food, 1 misdemeanor count of endangerment, and
Wow.
1 misdemeanor count of criminal
Oh,
damage.
you love to see it.
Dude essentially wanted...
So you have to understand the way that poisons work. And the way that a lot of bug poisons work is that they are effectively a viscous liquid that shuts down the insect or the bug's ability to breathe, because the way that they breathe and the way that they get energy is through moving their body. And so a lot of these poisons are not even poisonous. They won't even actually kill somebody. They're not going to do any bodily harm. And so it's a neurotoxin. Yeah, exactly. And so there are certain poisons you can use that can kill people, other ones you can that won't. The bug poisons don't kill people. There are other ones that do, but those raid bottles, and that one specifically is not an example of that. So it wouldn't have even worked to begin with. Anyway, so not only is he retarded, but he's retarded. Like, that's bad.
attention so bad on the internet that he destroyed his life for it. And unfortunately, there's now many cases of this. So
There
he's not
sure
even unique. He's just another moron headed
idiot.
to prison.
Yep.
It's been at least 4 months since we've had our last update on this guy, and next month it'll be 1 year since I first started covering this dude.
Yep.
So there's a lot that's unfolded. So I mean, if you're lucky enough to not know who I'm talking about today,
seeing
I'm
this.
sorry for taking out of your bliss, because sometimes ignorance truly is bliss. But this is Charles Smith, also known as the social media creator Wolfie Coletti, a Arizonan TikToker who went viral last year for basically being a public nuisance and just an all-around
For
absolute
just being annoying. Like that, it's so funny to me when these guys whose entire career is built around just being annoying and obnoxious, like they do something like this and they go over the line and now their life is totally fucking ruined.
Back. Wolfie decided that being a functioning member of society just wasn't for him, so he became a self-proclaimed real-life villain.
What in the my 600-pound life is this? He got bacon hidden in his shoes? Ugh!
A self-proclaimed real-life villain
raw.
and started recording TikTok content at the expense of random innocent people, ruining their days for views. Because as I've said in my previous videos, his content was essentially barely monetizable all the way up until the last few months before he was arrested. I think right before he was arrested, he was making a couple $1,000s a month doing this stuff.
Not so bad. Oh, he's gonna put the bacon in there, right? Yeah, if I was 11, I would have watched this. Yeah, this is actually like, this is literal content for preteens. Yeah, this is for like, yeah, it's funny. No, it is like, I mean, because I remember what I was like whenever I was a little kid. Little basic. No, I get it. Like, I get it, but like, you can't do that. This dude's 25. Yeah, no, exactly. I get it. Wait, what? Eggs? Eggs? I love how he thinks that there aren't any, I would say there's not any cameras, but he literally uploaded this himself on the camera. How do you think that you're going to get away with this? I mean, you got to be retarded to do this.
I mean, there's nothing like destroying what could possibly be this man's only set of clothes for some attention online. And the whole ongoing theme of this guy is he always picks on the least economically fortunate, as his normal targets are either fast food workers, retail workers, laundromat customers, or dollar store customers.
Because that's probably where he lives. He just goes to the local Dollar General and pisses on the floor, and then he's like, guys, what happened? Like, what is this? He just a retard, yeah.
This could be because he's just trying to pick out people who won't sue him. But you reap what you sow, and eventually, if you're a scumbag, it'll catch up to you. As sadly, what you just saw is far from his worst video. One of the videos that made him somewhat infamous is him dumping a bag of ice into a fryer while they were in business.
How do these people think that they're on a private server, man? This is crazy. This is perfect for teens? No, this content is great for, like, little kids. Like, little kids love shit like this. At least some of them do.
Tacos at the egg roll? Hey! Hey!
Just some poor fucking 55-year-old man working at Jack in the Box has to deal with this shit because this clown, wait, yes, he's just like, he's confused. He's like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is going on, bro? Like, what is this? Yes, I know. What the hell's wrong with people? I know. This is average wage expectation? Yeah, it's bad, man.
In case you didn't know,
how do you do this and think that nothing's gonna go wrong? Like, really? Like, how do you do this and then assume that, like, this is insane? The face he makes, yeah. Fucking like some blue steel Derek Zoolander shit. Oh, he walks out of the Jack-in-the-Box and the alarm's going off. After I just inconvenienced a 53-year-old Jack-in-the-Box worker. They're gonna, this is gonna take them 20 minutes to fix my problem. Ha ha ha.
This is what happens when you put way less ice into a frying machine. And of course, this happened at a Popeyes as well.
Yeah.
Or people who work at Popeyes, man.
What happens? I don't even know. Oh, yeah.
I mean, hey, that was pretty much best case scenario right there.
Yeah.
That was with way
He's
less
cooked.
ice. So it's safe to say
I didn't even know that could
you
happen.
don't need to be a rocket scientist to realize how bad this could have gone. There is no way they didn't have to shut down the kitchen after Wolfie did that. Because I did go on and find another video where they
Never
put
mind. That's more than 20 minutes.
roughly the same amount of ice as Wolfie put into the fryer, and here...
Okay. Oh, man. Yeah, they probably had to shut that shit down. Oh, my God.
That happened. And I mean,
I didn't
this
even
is
know that could
honestly
happen.
best case scenario.
Damn, that's insane.
Worst case scenario, you burn the whole building down. Then you have
Yeah.
videos like this.
This is him again?
Fried pigeon?
Is it just literally a dead bird?
Wolfie.
Bro, this guy. How do you do this? You're laughing. I am. This is so ridiculous. It's not that it's funny. It's just like, how do you do this and think that you're going to get away with it? Like, it's insane. The guy's got 2 points. Yes. Oh, my God.
Remember that.
Yeah. If you were going to make a list of his worst moments.
Remember his name. Bro, that's my favorite part. Remember my name. I'm the retard that threw the dead pigeon into the kitchen. This guy thinks he's fucking Heisenberg. Witness me. It's a bird.
It would be impossible
What
to
a
not include the
retard.
lineup of videos of himself committing attempted battery with a cake,
Oh my God.
actual battery with a cake, false imprisonment and disrupting a business practice, and of course, poisoning food at a grocery store.
This is, see, what I think is really funny is that this is the one that really cooked them. This is the one that they finally, like, because I bet the police probably knew this guy, and they said, okay, now we know what to do. Yep, now we can get him. Yep, you can't get this one. You fucked around eventually. And the other ones are like, yeah, maybe it's inconvenient, but it's not a big crime. But that's it. Oh.
It's wild that this guy makes Johnny Somali even seem like a decent citizen in comparison. But obviously,
That's actually crazy whenever you say that, because you're right. Like, at least Johnny Somali was just annoying and retarded. This dude's actually trying to hurt people. Yeah, that's crazy.
the food poisoning incident that
Yeah,
finally got the
damn.
authorities to take some real action against him. That was the video that immediately got him arrested by Mesa police in December of last year, as he
Yeah.
turned himself in and admitted to the crime without any hesitation.
Mhm.
Because, well, you know, when you record and post your crimes online, you are the star
It's
witness
kinda- yeah.
against yourself.
Yeah,
When you film
people knew
yourself
it
committing a
happened. Yeah,
felony,
they knew it would-
upload it for the whole world
Yeah,
to see,
they had
and
a-
brag about
yeah.
it, there's no question about whether you did it or not.
You
You're
did
just
do it.
making the prosecutor's job extremely easy,
Yeah.
and your defense
Everybody knows
nearly
it.
impossible. So the Maricopa County Attorney's Office later indicted him on multiple charges,
What a
including
surprise.
introducing poison, criminal damage, endangerment, and theft. And after he was
Wow.
arrested, it was only a matter of time until they started digging into his past videos to throw extra charges on him. Because along with
This guy, bro, this guy TikToked his life sentence. He TikToked his whole life sentence. That's bad, man. That sucks.
the 4 other charges, a third-degree burglar charge was also added related to an incident at a Bosa Donut shop.
Ever named
Yeah.
date of birth?
Charles Smith.
In an MCSO orange jumpsuit, Charles Smith, who goes by Wolfie Coletti on social media, was in court for the second time in just a few days. Already arrested in Mesa over the weekend, where police say he took this can of bug and flea killer
Yeah,
off
you need to use a different one. He's just stupid.
the shelf at a Walmart and sprayed the pesticide on
Yeah.
produce that was on sale for anyone to buy, all while filming
This is the
the
wrong one,
action
yeah.
himself. The 27-year-old told officers he
27 years old? Like, I would understand if you're crashing out like this whenever you're like 19. 27. This dude's gonna be 30 years old soon. He almost into unk status, and he's sitting around doing this, acting like a 5-year-old. You know those people that have graduated college that like they've been at a job for years.
he's a self-proclaimed
Wow.
troll and that he makes up to $10,000 a month posting those videos on social media. The court paperwork for the latest arrest is sealed, but as part of his release conditions, the judge told Smith he is not allowed to be on any social media. And he's not allowed to set foot inside any Bosa Donut shop.
I mean, by the
You do not go into that donut shop. You do not even think about going into that donut shop. That's it. Yeah. Bro, imagine getting banned from a donut shop from the police. Like, I mean, you gotta be a straight up clown for that shit.
way, this guy is 28 years old. Dude has a
He's
fully developed
28
prefrontal
now.
cortex, yet for some reason is spraying Raid, which is a cockroach exterminator on food.
Yeah.
Is risking killing someone worth social media attention? Apparently,
Yes. That's obviously the answer is yes.
he thought so. But
Yeah.
last year, he had to spend Christmas in jail, and his case has been moving through the legal system since then. His initial pretrial conference was originally scheduled for April 30th, 2025, but a minute entry in the case activity pushed it earlier to April 3rd, 2025. And this is
Oh.
where things actually kind of get interesting, because a plea agreement was filed for 3 of his cases in Maricopa County on April 22nd,
Yeah.
and Wolfie was initially set to adult probation, but 2 days later, there was a change in his plea, and now he's officially pleaded guilty to the video where he sprayed Raid on the produce. The articles are reporting that he pleaded guilty to 2 felony accounts of adding poison or
Oh.
other harmful substances
He
to
done.
food, 1 misdemeanor count of endangerment,
He
and
is
1
done.
misdemeanor count of criminal damage.
The man accused of filming
Somebody says bro's definitely on a burner account trying to push his content to more preteens, so this will be worth it. The sad thing is he might be able to pull it off and make it big because that's the crap world we live in. No, you're not gonna be able to spray poison on shit and get away with it. Like nah, they're gonna get him. Like the thing is, like, people act like that's he done. Like, and it's also there's been so many other things too. Like, he already was in prison also. So it's not like this guy just, he just had a crash out one day and cause problems. No, this is a continual crash outer. Yeah, he been doing this a lot. He has a crazy history, yeah. There's a
himself
pattern of
spraying
behavior.
bug killer on Walmart produce has pled guilty to several charges.
Oh.
In December, Charles
Oh.
Smith recorded himself spraying the bug killer at a Mesa Walmart.
Oh.
He allegedly told investigators that he makes money
And
film-
look, by the way, it got 78 comments. This dude is catching a felony for probably 200 likes. Imagine going to prison for 200 likes. That's bad.
Videos of pranks. He'll be back in court on June 24th.
One important thing to notice after spraying Bug Exterminator on various food items is that Wolfie actually left the store for about 10 minutes. Then, finally, he returned and attempted to remove all the items he had sprayed. So he then placed all these contaminated items, or at least the items he thought were contaminated, into a shopping cart and moved it to the back of the store. But the damage was already done. It's not like removing specific items magically decontaminates the entire environment. The shelves, baskets, surrounding areas, surrounding produce. This was a disaster waiting to happen, and he's extremely
Real talk,
lucky.
if you saw him in chat, would you saw someone spray raid on produce, would you punch them? Would I punch them? Absolutely not. I just recorded it happening, and I would just like say to an employee, I'd be like, hey, this guy's spraying poison on the food. Check the tapes, call the police. Yeah. Yeah, I beat his ass. Well, yeah, but like, what if he had a knife or a gun or, you know, like, I mean, he sues you because then he gets hurt in the fight. Like, I mean, you don't want to do that realistically. For what? Yeah, exactly. Like, why even do that? You can get in trouble too. Yeah, exactly. You dumb, Chatter? Yeah, you dumb. Like, yeah, ray him in the face. Well, what would that do, right? Like, cause it's like, I mean, cause like, if you want to do that and hit somebody, like, why would you want to hit somebody? Like, I mean, you could do way worse than hitting somebody if you want to be smart about it. So, like, the worst thing to do is to just fucking, like, guerrilla out at a Walmart, right? Like, you could come up with a million worse things to do to somebody besides that. Like, then you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Yeah, no emotional regulation. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can find out where a person lives easy. Like, you can do all kinds of shit. Like, so why even try to, like, why try to go get in a fight at a Walmart? It's stupid.
And honestly, all of us are extremely lucky that no one else was harmed from this.
Yeah. I threw them away. Yeah, I bet you did. Mm-hmm. Yep. I love how he threw them away as if like, okay, well now as if like they had, yeah, like this is like probably $400, $200 of produce there. Yeah, so I just threw them away afterwards, so it's fine.
But also, according to the court documents, it was unknown if he managed to collect all the contaminated items, and Walmart had to remove the remaining produce valued at $931. Wow. Here in AZ Central, it says the time between the defendant sprayed the items to when he placed them into the cart left plenty of time for customers to take the contaminated items and purchase them. So, for 10 minutes, people could buy produce that he had sprayed with Bug Exterminator. Again, all for the attention on social media. I mean,
200 likes. Catching a felony for 200 likes. I bet the only reason he went back to remove the contaminated food is because someone in chat reminded him of legal repercussions. I mean, like, I mean, like, that's what I'm guessing too. But even that, I wouldn't even entirely believe.
This dude has been walking around like he's been invincible for so long now, and finally, it caught up with him because he fell into that trap of doing more and more insane stuff for content and views because he kept getting away with the last insane stunt. So without a doubt, there's a space for him in the Hall of Fame of Internet Morons because this guy had successfully played himself and ruined his own life for a little bit of attention online. So now, Wolfie is scheduled to be sentenced on June 24th next month, and that's when we'll find out exactly how much time he'll be spending behind the bars. So, if this video gets 50,000 likes...
I'm hoping for, geez, what would be a good number? I think 15 years. I think 15 years is pretty good. I think 15 to 20 years, that sounds decent, yeah. Put him in there for a bit. Yeah, exactly, right? Because you got to set an example out of this. It's only going to be like 5 years? Yeah, maybe, right? But, like, it's got to be at least a number of years to get to make an example out of him. Yeah, 15 years for spraying bug spray? Yep. You see, like, to me, like, you have to keep in mind that the way that laws are made, one of the reasons why you have certain punishments is as a deterrent. And so, like, for example, if a police officer could, if you got pulled over for a DUI and you failed your breathalyzer test, and the police officer just shoots you right in the head, immediate execution, you're dead. Do you want to know what would happen with drunk driving? It would go way down. It would go way down. Everybody would stop drunk driving because they'd be fucking terrified of getting shot in the head and being killed instantly. And so, whenever you think about how to make a behavior stop, you have to figure out why the behavior is happening, assign a value to that, and then create a repercussion that has a higher value than that. And it is so high that it will make other people afraid of doing it. That's how you change human behavior. So should farmers be convicted for spraying pesticides that are way worse? Is there a reason why commercial products are not for general public? Well, no. Farmers are convicted for spraying pesticides that are worse? Well, no, because those pesticides are made, like, what? That's like saying, should somebody driving a stolen car get arrested because somebody is driving a car that's not stolen? What are you thinking?
Show up to the courthouse and cover the sentencing.
Yeah.
And feel free to subscribe if you want me to go to the courthouse. And other than that, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video. So I would also recommend clicking it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
So
I've grown quite worried.
Give me a second. I will probably watch this tomorrow. I don't know if I get around to it today. But like, this is what's really been going on. Social media should be paid out to the victims. In my opinion, like, this is it. RFK beat him up as a punishment. No. It's not about that. Disagree with Zach. Immediate execution won't change the volume of fear. People would more likely get angry about the escalation of negligence. I think to some degree, if medicine is too extreme, it'll have the opposite effect. I don't think so at all.
Things have gotten...
I don't think so at all. I think that, so here's let me think of a number of good examples of this. It's not true. Yeah, it's just not true. Let me think of a good example of why people are afraid of doing things. So, I mean, Dubai is a great example. Look at El Salvador. So they just arrested all the people that were committing crime, and then the crime stopped happening. That was pretty much about it. And so, like, you have plenty of examples. Singapore, right? In Singapore, you can go to jail for littering. There's nobody who's littering over there. It's very rare. It's probably a very clean country. So they're everyone with tats. Yeah, and guess what? The problem pretty much went away. And so the idea that the punishment is not like, every criminal makes a calculated decision. Most criminals do not plan on getting caught, but they do plan on, if they get caught, having some form of way of getting out of it. So if something is a really, really bad punishment, they will avoid doing certain things because they're afraid of that, because they're worried about getting in trouble. It's risk management. There is a reason why all of these guys go and do this in places like Japan and the United States and places in Europe, and they're not doing it in China, Russia, or Singapore, or Dubai, or North Korea. There's a reason why they're not doing it there, and it's because they have risk management. They understand exactly what the risks are, and they make decisions based off of those risks. Is the purpose of law is vengeance, though? Is the purpose of law vengeance? Answer is sometimes yes. And it's also about, it's vindication as well. It's very important that people that do things that are bad and that are antisocial, and especially things that hurt other people, they get metaphorically crucified. It's extremely important that that happens, because if it doesn't happen, then you have society degrade into a culture of people that are constantly dangerous, hostile, aggressive, and problematic. And so it's about sending a message. Yes, it's very important about sending a message. And so I don't view prison entirely about rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is a nice secondary effect. Like, it would be good if you could rehabilitate a person, but it's more important than rehabilitating a person is protecting the people that don't need to be rehabilitated. So the goal that I have with a lot of these laws, I've said this before, is that the focus should be protecting the people and creating a culture and society where people can feel like they're safe. And I think that criminals feeling like they're not safe is a good thing. And them being afraid, like, oh, well, you just get put in prison and that's all that happens, and like they don't care about you, etc. Yeah, of course, that's the point. That's the point. The cruelty is the point. And if you want to avoid the cruelty, don't do the action. Nobody made him do that. He did this himself. He chose to do this. He's a grown man. He's making this decision himself. And so the way that you handle these people is you have to a certain degree, brutalize them. And if you do that, you stop the behavior. And the goal is to stop the behavior. And it can't be too extreme, bro. Oh, I'm not being extreme. This isn't extreme. This is normal. Yeah, no, that's it. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Yeah, exactly. And the active ingredients, parathoids, also use pesticides. Yeah, sure. The active ingredients in Raid, the parathoids, which they also use for pesticides on crops and lots of other stuff. Exactly what I won't acknowledge this. Why are you trying to argue that it's the same as spraying pesticides and killing people? Like, spraying poison, like, this is done obviously with malicious intent to make people sick. It's the same thing, like, it's the same as putting the thing in the frying pan, the ice in the fryer. It's very obvious that this person is doing it with malicious intent. You're trying to obfuscate by making some kind of like weird abstract comparison with pesticides and farmers, but this is a totally different conversation, and that's not even what's being discussed right now. It's a totally different issue. And so, actually, what an idiot. Yeah, I'm actually just going to scroll up and just ban that person because it's just such a, what a weird thing to say. And, oh, it looks like, I don't know where it is, but I'm sure he'll comment again and say something stupid. Just go back and ban him. And there's no reason to even engage that type of thinking. But anyway, so that's the way that you handle people. And someone say poor people and the minorities get the brunt of the justice system. How do you make it so a justice system is racially and class blind? Well, I don't care if it's happening to a black person or a white person. The majority of people in prison are men. We don't talk about how we need to arrest more women, do we? No, of course not. It's retarded. The problem is the action. The person committing the action doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's a woman, a man, a black person, a white person, an Asian. It doesn't make any difference. I don't care if they're poor or rich. Why would I care about that? The action is bad objectively. And so it should be treated that way. Yeah, women get less time. They should. Oh, sorry. They do, and they shouldn't. What the fuck is wrong with people? Why do you have to explain this? The reason why so here's the reason why I have to explain it to people. The reason why is because a lot of these people live in a media apparatus that views any sort of application of the justice system through the lens of racial parity, which should not be that's not the goal. The application of the justice system is to remove crime. That's its goal. And so, like, that's the reason why. It's because they're thinking about it from a completely different foundation, and it's a wrong foundation. Every race breaks the law. Yeah, exactly. It's the same as, like, basically, if 100% of all crimes were committed by women, we wouldn't call them being in jail sexist. No, definitely. And do you agree that bail and fines target the lower class? Yeah, I do. I do. And I don't know, like, for fines and stuff like that, how do you handle fines for a person that's, like, making more money? I think that scaling fines for people that make more money is probably a good idea. Like, for example, if you're speeding and you're a millionaire, I think that you should get a bigger speeding ticket than if you're an average person. Because, again, the goal is about making the behavior not happen. So, and it's not fair, by the way, that happens, but it's also not fair that they're speeding. So again, the goal is not about making it fair for the person who's doing the bad action. The goal is making it fair for the people who are doing the good actions and are victims of bad actions. So that's always, like, I always think about it from that perspective. But actually, it's really true. Yeah. And so that's how I think about everything. Is that that's not possible? Yeah, it is. European countries do it already. And so all you need to do and again, I'm gonna explain it to you guys like really, really simple, right? Is that all you need to do is figure out why somebody is doing something, figure out what they're getting out of it, and then figure out how to take that thing away from them and how to create a counter incentive that's worse than what they're getting, and then you will make the behavior stop. This is simple psychology. This is how you train a rat. It's how you train a dog. It's how you train a person. It's how you train a society. It works all the way down. So all you do is you figure that out and you do it right. And so anyway, and we rise, yes, clearly, scaling fines is so unfair. I agree. I think that it is unfair. And that's why I would do it. As a measure and a show of intent and deliberateness. It is unfair. And that's the thing. Is that like I'm not the goal is for me, it's not about being fair. It's about and it's also like who's it fair to. So and you think about it, and this is the problem that you have, is that you're thinking about it as like it being fair to the criminal. How is it fair to everybody else on the road that this criminal gets to just pay a fine that's effectively pocket change to them and they can continue doing what they were doing with no consequence? How is it fair to them? So are we going to think about what's fair to the one person who is actively doing something wrong that they know is wrong? Or are we going to think about what's fair to the hundreds of other people who are trying to do the right thing and are put at risk because of this one person? And what about punch card before jail? Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I think in some cases that's bullshit. The rich are protected. Well, yeah, sure. But like, I mean, that's why you would make the fine higher. Fines are average for lawbreakers, rich people spending less. Crime is only punished because it hurts the state's income. If crime freed up people from resources, government would not punish this hard. Yeah, either way, punishment by definition isn't fair, which is why they work. Yeah, I think so. But either way, I could go back and forth on this a lot. Eventually, you'll be on the other side. What is this here? A lot of people argue with this. Everyone messes up. So, like, what do you mean by this? Everybody messes up. You mean like I'm gonna accidentally spray poison on like on bananas? Like, what do you think is gonna? What do you mean by this? Like, how's it? What does this mean? By that logic, we've all been arrested. Yeah. I don't understand what you mean by this. I'll let this person explain it, and then I was gonna watch one more thing. And yeah, speeding is a safer way to drive. The less time that you're on the road, the less chance that you'll have to get into an accident. I agree. I think they should change. And that's actually a great point. And so, like, here's the thing, right? Is like if you change the speed limit in school zones from 20 miles an hour to 200 miles an hour, you had to drive 200 miles an hour, you'd solve two problems. Number one, you'd get rid of dumb kids that can't pay attention and don't look both ways before they cross the road. They're stupid. That's natural selection, right? So that's number one. Number two, because the car isn't going to be in the school zone for a long period of time, then collectively, you're going to have less cars and less kids getting hit, right? Because the cars are going to go really fast through the school zone. Right? Is that the way that's what makes sense, right? Yes? Okay, good. Perfect. Great. We've got a brilliant mind in chat. I just think there needs to be fairness for criminals. Why? Also, by the way, do you want to know what's really funny? I think that this is very well known at this point. I've had a lot of friends go to prison. Many of them still have phones, and so they communicate with like friends of ours that are out of prison. There are a number of guys that watch me that are in prison that think I'm great. Yeah. So like, I don't have a problem with this at all. Yeah, I think I'm great. Yeah, I had somebody tell me that yesterday that would know. If you were accused, you would want it to be fair. Well, yeah, of course I would want a fair trial. Why would it? What is this? Like, what do you mean by it? Yeah, of course you'd want a fair. Duh. Sure, of course. Yeah, I don't even. This is a waste of time to talk about. This is just a moron. Chatter's advocating for criminals and trying to justify it. No, there's no thinking involved, right? Again, there's no thinking. And yeah. He probably took the crucifixion part literally. Well, I did say metaphorically right after, right? Or right before. So yeah, the problem with making it punishment too hard is life is not all about breaking laws. There are plenty of laws that are only there that in reality to help the bottom 20% of 20% of people to not fuck up. Well, I don't know. It depends on what it is, right? What if the laws themselves are corrupt? Well, obviously that's bad. But this isn't the example of that, and that's not what's happened.
A couple weeks ago, I made a video clowning on a Pokemon.
How's it going? Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Some days ago, I ran a poll to see what you wanted to see in the next video, whether it was characters or environments. Environments won. So if you want to stay up to date and make sure that you know when the polls go out so you can help decide what goes on the channel, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. Now, today's video game was also chosen by you. A lot of people have been requested me to cover Elden Ring. So that's what we're going to look at today. Let's get started. So as mentioned, today we're going to be looking at environments. We have several environment props here. We have a weapon. That's because I always like to include weapons in the same category as environments. And we're also going to see something very special that I was able to find with this game. So if you want to look at that, you have to watch the whole thing. All right, so let's start with this one right here. And as you can see, this is the more simple of the bunch. It's just a banner. I've been asked if for something like this, can you just do one polygon and save a lot? You can, but something like this, like a banner, will have a wind effect, and if you wanted to move correctly, like against the wind, it needs certain bits of geometry. So you can see that the faces are kind of big, but like I've seen banners in other things like the latest Assassin's Creed that have a lot more geometry because of how they want the cloth to move. This one doesn't seem to have too much, and I've seen these banners in game. They look fine. So again, it depends on what level of fidelity you're trying to get. But as you can see, this thing is just 368 triangles. Over here, when it comes to the part that's holding the banner together, you can see that it's very simple shape-wise. Usually the round surfaces are the ones that have the most geometry, but in this case, it doesn't have that much geometry. Let's go to the UVs straight away. Now, the way that the materials are assigned here is very interesting because as you can see, this texture, there's a lot going on here that is not here. So let me select this whole thing, and you can see this whole piece that is holding together the banner is right here. So because of the way that this is laid out, it could make you think this is a UDIM tile. It's not a UDIM. The texture is actually this size, so these aren't two textures together, so it's just not square sized. Now what's interesting about this is they're using texture atlases. This is where in one single texture sheet you have different objects that you can unwrap. In this case, you don't need as much resolution for each object because the texel density that you need for the object in the game, it's not going to be that big. I don't believe I explained texel density before. So texel density is kind of like saying the amount of pixels that you're going to assign to a certain textures. Inside a game, there is, aside from what people say on social media, inside a video game, there's no reason to have absolutely every texture be 4K. In fact, most games don't have most textures be 4K. Depending on the size of the object is the size of the texture, or depending whether it's a hero character or just a background object. So for instance, a coin is not going to have the same resolution as the giant wall. So that's the simplest way to put it. You're not going to find a coin that is 4K. Usually coins are, you know, very low resolution, like, I don't know, 128 by 128. something like that. So this is kind of like how you can get away with those sorts of things. Instead of creating more draw calls and adding more texture maps, you just have one texture map that can encompass various different objects like this one right here. Now let's go to the one for the banner, just this one right here. And if we select the whole thing, you can see that it's just a texture. So this game not only has the horizontal, but it has the vertical offsetted textures. Actually, a lot of engines do these, by the way. I don't think Unreal Engine does it as much, because I do know that you need a texture with the power of 2 if you want to have mid maps. We'll talk about mid maps in another video, but it has to do with like level of details of the texture. So yeah, as you can see, not big of a deal, just straight rectangles. This texture has already an alpha embedded in it, so that's why if we go to the layout portion, you can see that everything else is invisible. All right, let's continue with this object. And if I turn on the wireframe, you can see that again, these objects for Elden Ring are not super high. This is 21,000 polygons, but it has several things like this gel cell right here, and it has these columns, which again, they're round surface, but they're not that high in poly count. Now, as you can see in these areas, we don't have any chamfers. We have seen chamfer areas in other video games, not in this one, because again, it depends on what you're doing. The rules are not one for everything when it comes to making game art. It's depending on what your game needs. In this case, they decided to not do the chamfer and just use normal maps, because these are objects that probably you're going to be seeing far away. So as you can see here in the UVs, they has different materials. One that we have right here, even though this object is completely merged. So we're looking at the metal wooden area that's here in the middle. It's represented by these UVs. This is like regular square textures. Now, if we grab something like, let's say, these columns on the side, and this is a texture that is squared, but as you can see, it contains several pieces. So if we select that column, you can see that it's unwrapped all around this area. The resolution is not the biggest, but you do have several pieces into one texture set. So this is a way that games are being optimized. Instead of having several textures for each, and even though you have different materials for this one single object, instead of having several textures for different objects in the environments, you just have the one. And one of the things here is this column is instance, because if I select this other column, you can see that everything is in the same place. We don't have any new UVs, so it's all the same thing. Now, when it comes to something like these stones, they're just a little bit more simple, and you can see them unwrapped right here, but it's just a simple texture. Like, there's not much to it. I know there's some variations in different parts, but from the UVs, you can see that this texture is just mostly like one single big rock that will encompass and will be used, and it's actually being used in several other objects. All right, I have a couple things here that I want you to look at, just so you see things that are laid down in the world, like this pile of bones. And if we go into the UVs, you can see an unwrapped right here. Every single little bone is unwrapped. I think I'm missing kind of like the lower part of the spine, and there's a couple here like the vertebrae and other types of stuff that I didn't select here, but yeah, you can see that skeleton, it's unwrapped. It's very simple. This looks like the skull of a predator, but it's actually the skull of a human being. Now let's just look at a weapon. In this weapon, and I chose the golden epitaph, is because this weapon has a lot of detail. So as you can see, there's a lot of geometry and a lot of detail that is geometry inside this weapon. There's of course a lot of detail that's normal map, but what's interesting is how much detail they added to the weapon compared to some environmental pieces. And that has to do with the fact that this is a hero object in a sense because your character was going to be wielding it, and it even has the bone here. The reason we haven't talked about rigging and bones and everything, but the reason why a bone there's always a bone on weapons is because that's how you attach it to your players. A very easy way to just determine an attach point to the player, especially in RPGs where you have so many weapons just switching around. Just add a bone to the place where your player character is going to grab it, and that helps a lot when it comes to the in-game interaction. So in the case of this sword, because of the blade piece, is even though it has this little statue right here that makes it look different on both sides, but the blade piece is the same on both sides. So one of the things that they did is a trick that we've talked about a lot in this channel, whether you just mirror part of the UVs outside because they are just going to inherit the next tile, and that's how you can save real estate for your texture. But you can see it here unwrapped. The topology is very, very nice. Even though this is hard surface, you don't see as many triangles, but you see very nice topology all around. This is a very cool looking blade. Now there's some objects here that I just brought to show you something that this game has. And one of the things that I found is when taking out certain models, I could, like this jumble of characters right here, I think they're like, you know, being worried about something. You can take them out individually, but inside the game, there's also the files that are together. There is something in the engine where you can just have several components into one single asset. So for instance, this asset is effectively it's just one asset, but it's comprised of several different characters that when I was looking into the files, you can actually extract these characters individually, or you can have them together. Same thing goes for this book place right here. So I'm sorry, bookshelf. So you could have the bookshelf by itself and the books on its own, and you can see that the books are the same. They're just instants, and some of them are kind of like smaller than the others, but it's just an instance of the same book because it has the same texture. But this is something that if you're on the Unity side is called a prefab, and if you're on the Unreal Engine side, it's called a blueprint actor. And one of the things that helps a lot of having these is when you are doing level design, when you have a big open space, this helps a lot with the placement of things. So you don't have to put like a shelf and a book and a book and a book. Somebody has already designed for you, and you say like, okay, I need a bookshelf here with a bunch of books. So you just place it there. If you happen to need the bookshelf individually because there's an instance that needs to be empty, then great, you already have it. And by the way, same thing with the pile of bones right here. You can find these bones as a complete skeleton, and this one is just scattered around and it's one single asset. So you place it on the map. Sometimes this is also done so it's not placed manually, it's because it's being placed procedurally. You also want to put it together because now you can just call it with a variable and have your whole system place it randomly around the world. And that takes us into the next thing that we're going to see, which is what I call the big prefabs. So I was able to pull out these things, like they're constructed this way, and they're constructed from several assets that are already singled, getting the same point that I was showing before. I just wanted to show you in a big environmental piece. So as you can see, we have a cavern right here, and if I put on the materials, you can see, of course, there's a lot more nuanced when you are in the engine. This part right here and this rocks actually has several materials. Of course, I cannot construct this shader in Blender. If you use something like Unreal Engine or Unity, there's a way to mix several maps together to create a shader that has variations. So you don't see the tiles right here. You have variations with several different textures. That's usually achieved with mass, but I wasn't going to get to that in Blender because that's mostly an engine thing. I just wanted to show you that this is one of the caves where you have the entrance right here, and of course you're just seeing the back face of the polygons over here, and just a general, so you can see how they assemble these whole things together. It's not necessarily a cave that is constructed like a cave. It's just several assets that are repeated and put together over and over. That's usually how many levels are built. And then you just separate things by either using the kind of shader that I just explained, or you have other assets going around that can kind of mask seams and mask the tiling of the textures. However, if we go with something like this one right here, we can see that's kind of like the inside of a church. And if we go into the materials, you can see that we have the material for the floor and the columns. I didn't have the texture for this one. I just gave it a random color. But as you can see, everything else over here, this has several materials. Not because it's one object, is because this is what I would call a prefab or a blueprint actor, just for you to either put it in the level or maybe you're using a procedural generator. And if we look at the wireframe and the poly count, it's 108, but it's a lot. And I mean a lot in the sense that you have several assets here. It's not just one asset that's being that big. So you have this whole thing comprised. And one of the things I mentioned, if you watch my Claire Obscure video about marketplace assets, at least for Unreal Engine, this is something that's very common. Usually when you get the assets from the marketplace, the high quality ones, they give you the asset individually, and they also give you a blueprint actor that has several components combined. So you can just use it and straight in your level, and you don't have to be combining all those single pieces together just to create one piece. We go back to materials, you can see that, you know, the walls, very simple geometry wise. Then we have the columns, and you can see that this wall is the same asset. So we have the same asset, but what breaks the repetition of it is the fact that you have other assets like these columns in between. In the case of the floor, I'm pretty sure there's other stuff going on here, probably objects added with foliage, because usually one thing that people confuse is people think that foliage is only for actual foliage in games like plants and grass. You use foliage for a lot of things, just to paint stuff all over your map. So there may be some of that going on here just to break a little bit of the tiling. But you can see the difference in geometry when it comes to like this cave asset and this one right here. So yeah, I just wanted to show you something different. This is why I like to do these videos, because every game has something new to teach us. Now here's something that I wanted to mention. I've been seeing some people get mad in several of my videos because I don't show the process on how to extract the models. That is not what this channel is about. The channel is about this: us learning what is under the hood of video games, at least art-wise. And for those people who are game artists and want to get a job in the industry, see what the industry expects of them. For indie game designers to see what the big guys are doing. And if you are neither of those and just interested in how video games work, this is also great for you too. But one of the things that these videos are not is to show you how to extract the models. I've never said that. I've never said it on my titles or in my descriptions. So I don't understand why people are just getting mad at me because I don't share how to extract these models. That was never the reason for these videos. So Elden Ring, do you want to see more about these games? I know I just showed you environments, but if I see there's a lot of interest, leave me a comment down below. Tell me if you want to see characters from Elden Rings. We can get some enemies here to analyze them. We can also get like the player characters and armor. So let me know if you want to see those in the comment section down below. And just like with the Doom video, if I see there's a lot of interest, there will be another Elden Ring video. Now, if you'd like to support the channel, there's this thanks button, but if not, then just leaving a like and leaving a comment.
Well, everyone, it looks like Marathon actually may get the delay that we all kind of know that it needs. This is coming from Forbes, Paul Tassi, and also Colin Moriarty on Sacred Symbols podcast he has. He was told, quote, I was told by somebody familiar with the marketing campaigns and marketing plans in a key overseas market that there are now no plans to do paid marketing for Marathon at all. I don't know if those plans were affected by what has recently happened or if that was always the plan or whatever, but it is considered a fairly unusual move for a game of this high profile. Paul continues, this tracks somewhat with what I was told a little while back, though he's getting info on the Sony side. He's trustworthy. Well, I'm getting it on the Bungie side. I heard the entire marketing plan was thrown out and had to restart from scratch, and plans like a new trailer and launching pre-orders and a big public beta about a month before launch were not happening. I didn't hear anything about all paid media or marketing being erased, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's where things ended up. There's now talk about whether this means Marathon is delayed or even canceled after its disastrous couple of weeks. Delayed, I'm almost positive yes. Canceled, it's hard to see how that could happen given that it would be Sony's second obscene live service blow up in a year. That's true. Isn't this insane? If they ended up canceling Marathon, let's say next week, they announce a cancellation, it would be the second euthanasia of a monstrosity live service game in less than 12 months. That's insane. That's crazy. But that's how much money that they've just burned on this, you know? Like, it's unbelievable, but that's where they are. And you have to wonder, like, at what point does the pride of the company affect these decisions? For them to be like, we can't screw this up again. Less than a year ago, we had Concord, and you're telling me that like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't Sony's game. Bungie's publishing Sony, or Bungie's publishing. The problem is Sony owns them, so ultimately they foot the bill when things go sour. So, you know, if Bungie needs an extra $100 million to make payroll for the next quarter, guess who has to pay for it? You know, Daddy Sony. There's no getting around it. It might just be that, like, oh, Bungie's books look really bad, but ultimately Bungie's books are a part of Sony's books, and so it ends up being the same. It's just whose name you put on it first, you know? So, I mean, I'm inclined to think that they just delay it. I can't imagine that they just scrap it entirely, but they might have data internally that's more worrisome. You never know. I think it'd be surprising if they canceled it before doing a public play test. I think if they do the public play test and they can't get more than like 5,000 players, yeah, at that point, the writing's on the wall. But prior to a play test, I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised. Blowing up a game on the launch pad this close to release with years and hundreds of millions of dollars invested would be insanity. It's close to what happened with Concord, yes, but the difference here is that this is Bungie, not just a storied shooter studio, but one that Sony paid an absurdly overpriced $3.6 billion for. I still don't know how on earth they got to the 3 point, and bear in mind, they offered 3.6. That was the announced price. After they closed the deal, they came out and revised the number, so saying that it was close to the 3.7 after they adjusted everything at closing. So either way, they spent billions on a company that has returned almost nothing and potentially actually nothing. We know that they've missed revenue targets. We know that they've lost money on Destiny for a long time. They've had some good periods where they have an expansion or something for Destiny 2 that does really well. But the analyst estimation is that Bungie's been losing money consistently for years. And so they may at this point be in the whole $4 billion, maybe more total on Bungie. And this is what they're hoping can justify the expense, but it's crazy. Paul goes on, you can't cancel it now. It's too late. You have to roll the dice. But to do that, you need at least some sort of delay to reset the narrative and polish and add, I don't know, something to the game to make it more of a draw at launch. A delay is what I think this marketing hold means, because you're not going to bother spooling up a big ad campaign for a game that isn't coming out until when? Sometime in 2026 from the looks of all of this. I've been on the delay marathon train before, and I still think it's the least worst option. but my position has also evolved into thinking it simply does not matter. Marathon's problems are too foundational. A class-based extraction game entirely unbalanced for solo play, not accessible enough for casual, and not hardcore enough for existing genre players. Oh, and its cool art style, was the one thing it had going for it. You can't talk about that without saying plagiarism in the same sentence, no matter how few decals have been stolen. The marketing spend pull isn't a shock, but I get how it certainly sounds like that. The writing has been pretty clear on the walls since the alpha that this is not a game that can be released in 4 months, and it's not just because of some visual polish. Still, I have not heard anything internally about a delay or cancellation, though those conversations are probably happening only at the top levels. But if Sony is making this move now, some public news may be imminent. Almost certainly the conversations are happening. And what we do know is that Hiroki Totoki, new head honcho over at Sony, is not afraid of canceling stuff. He is okay with doing it if he thinks that it's going to lessen the pain in the long run. And he canceled plenty of live service games. They may be having a conversation with this, just being like, okay, realistically, what are the odds of this popping off and finding success? I personally don't. I try, whenever we talk about this stuff, I try to like play it out in my mind's eye. I try to think of a situation like, okay, play it out. What would this being successful look like? Like, at what point does Marathon click and go viral and do really, really well? And I'm like, well, it needs a lot more content, a lot more features. That means a big delay. And even then, it's like, how does it overcome the negativity right now? Because like we talk about Marathon, but I can only imagine like trying to boot it up as a more regular streamer. You're like, oh, I'm going to set aside Warzone right now. I'm going to play Marathon for a week or two, see how it goes. Your chat's going to be flooded with all sorts of stuff about the art controversy, about the lack of content, about, how the ranked mode's coming months after launch, all of that. I just don't see it. And it's too bad, because I don't think what I played with Marathon, like, I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it wasn't ready for a premium price tag or for competing in the broader market. But for like 10, 15 hours, whatever I put into the Marathon playtest that they had, like, I had a fun time. It's not something I would replace in my regular day-to-day life. It's not something I would like be booting up every chance I can get. It's not something I would be getting my friends to pay $50 a pop for. But I played it. I'm like, yeah, it was fun. It's just not fun enough to justify the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars they're spending on it. And I don't know how they could get there with just like a 6-month delay or a year delay. I just personally don't see it. But as for the other problems, like even a solo queue, which I think could help the game, people have been like, oh, well, why doesn't people like Joe Ziegler, the game director, why doesn't he talk about that more often? Why doesn't he discuss how they could add that in? If they had a delay, if they had more time, they could do that, or maybe they'll add it post-launch. I think it's just fundamentally the problem is the way the game is set up. It doesn't really click that well in that way to just allow solo queues. Because just think of it. If you're playing like solo Apex Legends, what's going to happen? There's going to be a meta for which characters are best. There's going to be a meta. Maybe it's Valkyrie. Maybe it's, what's the name of the one with the little bat owl thing that she can send it out and then zip to it. She's got the sniper rifle. High mobility characters could really, really help. And that might be the meta. And then everybody plays that one character. Everybody plays stealth. Everybody does this or that. And it removes all dynamics, because that's what happens when you have a hero class-based game as opposed to just everybody starting from scratch with the same stuff. And that's what they said happened. The game devs were asked at the preview event I went to about a solo queue, and they said the reason we don't do it is because we tested it internally. We let people solo queue and we saw what happened. And what happened was everybody just played stealth. Everybody went and played Void, popped invisibility, and crawled around the map. Nobody wanted to engage, and it was really boring. And I think the same thing would happen here. Like, yeah, you would give people the option to go solo queue and to pick which characters they want, but almost certainly everybody would be picking the same characters because the meta would be very, very clear cut. And in extraction shooters, it's not about just fun experimentation. The stakes are super high. You cannot afford to mess it up. You can't afford to lose your stuff. And so I just think it just doesn't work. The way that it's set up, it doesn't work for solo queues. And so it's an only team-based extraction shooter. And as of right now, there's just not enough content to make that work. And the ranked mode could help because you could always be guaranteed to get in with capable, teammates. But that's something coming after launch. That's wild. They understood the problem, and instead of fixing it, they just stuck with it. Well, I mean, realistically, what's the solution? You get rid of the characters, the heroes, and you go back to the way the game originally was, allegedly before Joe Ziegler came in. Because you remember, he came in like 2022, I believe, and he rebooted the game into this hero-based shooter because he worked on Valorant, and that's his previous experience is Valorant, which of course is hero-based as well. But like I think as part of him coming in is, you know, he said, I only want to come in if I can go hero-based. It's probably the pitch he gave them was, you should let me be the new game director because I'm going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to take a hero, and we're going to do that. So they understood the problem, but it was too late to fix anything and change it. And they might have decided, you know, hey, it's not even worth risking the change. It doesn't make sense. But they won't. The entire goal of the game is to sell skins. Hero-based games sell the most skins. I mean, that is also a major, major component of this. And I do agree that that's a huge piece of it. And I think it's naive to pretend that it's not. Because almost certainly part of the idea, and they even had a name for it, they said they were going to call them shells. So for your, just like in this cinematic they had, they're going to have different shells where you can pay $20, you get a new shell for your runner, and you play through the game with that new shell, and that's how they can make money. That's all fine and dandy, but the game itself has to be good. And it's the danger also when you start to motivate gameplay choices based on monetization instead of just on like what makes the most sense for the game itself. So I do think we'll probably hear about a delay. I would imagine in the next week or two, we probably hear something before we hit Summer Games Fest and everything like that. Maybe they delay it in the middle of Summer Games Fest, like in the middle of all the other news, so it gets buried. Maybe they do that. But I do think they delay it. I'd be shocked if they cancel it. I just don't think that makes sense. Because if they cancel it, what does Bungie have? Like, they've got Destiny 2. That's not getting any more profitable. That's not making any more money, you know, than it is right now. So what do? Like at that point, I don't see how Bungie in its current form stays alive. Like I think the odds of a Sony closure and tax write-off become very, very high. It's just, and I'm sure that's the debate they're making right now is that Hiroki Totoki, he's looking at it and he's like, we could cancel it, but he has to answer then to shareholders, why did you just buy a company for $3.7 billion and then shut them down and cancel them? And how did you make that mistake? And he has the added benefit of, it was the guy before me, you know, or technically it was the guy before the guy that's in the position right now as CEO of PlayStation. But Hiroki Totoki came in as the new CFO. The previous CFO, the previous CEO, they all would have to answer for this Bungie acquisition. And I don't know how they could do that. Because, I mean, you got to think of it from a perspective of the perspective of an investor, too. The investors have given Sony billions of dollars of their own money, and Sony went and squandered it on this. How would you feel if you invested in your buddy's company and then he blew it all on buying a new tool that has nothing to do with what he was doing before and is broken already and had the worst reviews on Amazon? Like, my buddy comes to me, hey, can you invest in my construction business? Sure. Here's $1,000 or whatever. And then he goes and spends it on the worst rated, I don't know, new set of tires or something for his truck. And then they wear out within a day and a half and he has to get them replaced again. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, what? I gave you that money and you just burned it? I'd be pissed. And that's going to happen here too. But at some point, the writing's on the wall. And if Bungie is totally incapable of making a game that's profitable, like at some point, you've just got to call it like you see it and cut your losses. But Sony needs to take an L. They're just thinking of which one to take, delay or cancel. The thing is, they delay it for a year. That represents another $150 million of spend. Like, that's a hugely expensive delay. So now the game needs to do even better to be profitable, you know, or to break even, much less be profitable. And so, like, what are we doing? We could delay it by that, and then it just raises the bar of what it needs to clear. and they have, you know, a year to figure it out and to save the game and make it perform even better than it would have if it had launched prior to all the scandals and stuff. But I think the game needed to delay before the scandals too. It's just, it's not clear what you do. It really is not clear. It's really, really bizarre. And, you know, I don't know the inner workings of the financials. I don't know all of that stuff that, you know, they are privy to, but
He cooked. What's this here?
Been had black fatigue, well, nigga fatigue. I love black people. See, it's the difference between niggas and black people.
Oh
you
my
understand?
God.
And what it should be called is nigga fatigue, because even black people have nigga fatigue. You understand? The ghetto ratchet bullshit, all the ignorant stuff that these.
Why is he dressed up like Mario though? Really? Like, yeah. Why is that? Like, that's crazy, right? Anyway, so no, a lot of people say this, and it's antisocial behavior is the problem.
These people stand for, all the ignorant stuff that these people defend,
Yeah.
all the weird shit that these people say, all the victimization and acceptance of the bigotry of low expectations and all the Stockholm syndrome and all that shit like that, all the random acts of violence that people want to ignore because it's black on black, which they also want to ignore and just say it's proximity crime, but no, it's black on black crime. It's an epidemic.
They're not gonna like this, bro. People are not gonna like this on the internet. They're gonna be pissed. Oh my God.
Black fatigue is some real shit, and y'all are getting what the fuck y'all wanted to get when y'all wanted to perpetuate racism, because nobody in America is perpetuating racism but black people. Get out of your neighborhood and out from around all the rest of them.
I think the problem is that this is the issue, is that I do think that white people push it too, but the difference is that when a black person does a racism, people try to contort themselves in reasons why it's okay. But when a white person does a racism, everybody is like, "Oh yeah, that's bad." That's really where that's the problem, and that's what I think gets people mad.
Bullshit people that you fuck with to understand the reality of what's going on in the world. And what you will see is that it's people that look like me that's perpetuating racism, because white people don't give a fuck. They not running around talking about what our hairstyles are and you can't wear this and you can't wear that and you can't say this and you can't say that. It's weird, bro. It's weird. And it's over.
I mean, as a white person, I haven't really gone around and done that. Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, I don't think I've done that.
It's over because y'all ain't ready for what you asking for. You're not ready for that race war. While y'all flapping y'all trap and waiting on the white man to give you what you need to jump off a race war, them white boys in the motherfucking woods doing calisthenics and running drills and shooting and throwing knives and learning how to live off the land. They ready for that. Y'all not ready for that, bro. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all just talking a bunch of shit, and that goes to show your privilege and how spoiled the black community has become.
Insane.
Period. I don't see no white privilege. That's black privilege everywhere I see. You understand? It's a lot of degenerate shit going on between both races, though. Especially with the Carmelo Anthony thing. That was some degenerate punk bullshit.
He's right. What kind of a fucking retard goes and defends that shit? Yes, what are you even thinking? What are you doing? Why would you say this? Why would you defend this? Yes, perfectly said. It was some punk bullshit. Yes. Like, and the thing is that he's so unfathomably based. Yes, it's like that Shiloh fucking whatever her name was, Hendrix girl, calling some black kid the N-word. Like, this shit would have never even popped off. Nobody would have even brought this up. It would have been done and dusted in a day. Nobody would have cared. But it's because of that Carmelo Anthony bullshit that then you had a bunch of white people get together and be like, well, we're going to raise more money than you did. It's dumb as hell.
He's a coward, period. I don't give a fuck. He's a fucking coward. Justice to all slain children. And as far as like Shiloh Hendrix, she's fucking trash. I'm sorry, she's trash.
Yeah, of course she is. You just look, yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna just be honest, bro. Yeah.
If they want to get behind trash, that's on them. But I don't blame them.
But that's the problem, is that if you want, if this is the problem, is that when somebody who's trash gets supported by one group, then you're going to have somebody else that's trash that gets supported by the opposite group. Because they say, oh, okay, you want to play this game? Let's play this game. You want to defend this asshole? We're going to defend this other asshole. And now everybody's stupid. That the trash wars, I know. He gets the nuance? Yeah, this is... No, the thing is that the reality is that if you go to McDonald's and you see a guy that looks like this, he's probably going to have these same fucking opinions. If you go to Walmart and you see... This is the way most people think, by the way.
They just saw a bunch of people who look like me get behind a trash-ass person, too.
Yeah.
And they just
it makes
tired
people
of
racist. It does.
as anybody
It's
else
bad.
because the racism has been towards them for the past few decades.
Yeah.
But you still want to say it's towards you when it's not. When you have the privilege, you don't even know that you have the privilege. You don't even know that you had reparations. We've been had reparations. And to tell the truth, the United States does not even owe us reparations. Africa owes our ancestors
You're talking about your lived experience in Texas? People in liberal states actually act like crazies? I am in a liberal state. It's called Austin. You know what happens whenever I go from Austin to California? The price of things goes up. Everything else stays the same. It's more expensive in California, and the weather's better, to be fair. Yeah, it's basically the same city.
reparations. But you want to pass on that because Africa's black people. I think y'all scared of white people. Because it's been many times in the hood where, you know, some white cops did something and then one of you fools came and killed a black person behind it. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. It's time for shit to change. It's time to move forward. Don't nobody give a fuck about no slavery. Don't nobody give a fuck about no past.
I think that's the way a lot of white people feel, especially like young white guys, right? It's like they see some guy that they grow up with. It's like something that happened. And the problem, I think, is that there are like residual echo effects and like ripple effects from slavery and like pre-civil rights Jim Crow shit. But it's hard to have a conversation about that in an honest way because everybody wants to think about it from like one angle and that's it. Not really, though. I think that it's personal, but I think that you can get a demographic. You can find a demographic commonality and a demographic trend without necessarily applying it to an individual. Does that make sense?
We have a future, and we not even concentrating on it. Period. I said what I said. Say what the fuck you want to say about me. Get mad, talk shit. I don't give a damn. I want all the smoke because I have black fatigue too.
Let me go ahead and give you an example, right? Let's say you're black, you're 35, 34, right? You're my age. Your grandpa probably grew up before civil rights. The probability that he received an education that fully informed and educated him in the usage of the English language is probably low. And growing up in a family that doesn't use English in a proper way and doesn't know how to speak proper English and use grammar and communicate in a way that's efficient, that is going to be a class indicator. And this is also something that happens with white people too. It's not universal, but one of the ways that a lot of like people that are like higher class can tell that you're not is the way that you talk, the way that you communicate. And a lot of these people, if you're communicating in a way that is broken English, you're not able to express yourself in an effective way, that is going to be a massive detriment to you as an individual. And what I'm saying is that things, and growing up in a family, this is a generational thing that, of course, obviously it can change in a generation, but when you're starting on the back foot, you can assume that out of 1,000 people, 1,000 families, 1,000,000 families, the ones that have a generational advantage of, let's say, 4 generations are on average probably going to be better than the ones that have a generational advantage of 1. I mean, it's pure logic. It like if you're not thinking like this, I don't know what to tell you. Right? It is a problem. And so like these issues do exist. They are legitimate. but they're discussed in dishonest and disingenuous, completely off base. Okay, I'm gonna just take. Let me finish this video. You want to type out if you want to type out why you think this is off base, that's fine. But let me go ahead and finish the video first, okay? And you can type it out.
And so do the rest of the black people. Tired of it, dude. We tired of y'all representing for us because y'all don't speak for us. Y'all don't think like we think. Y'all don't do what we do. As a matter of fact, you do us worse than you do white people because we're in proximity to your bullshit.
Nope.
I don't know. I said what the fuck I said.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it. I think there's a lot of people that feel this way, and it's especially like the antisocial behavior. And I think the problem is that antisocial bad behavior, it's hard to call that stuff out. And I think that like people in America have a hard time calling that out because they're worried that if they do, it'll be perceived as racism. That's the reason why it keeps happening. And that's the problem why it keeps going on. No, I agree with pretty much what he's saying. But like, let me see here. We got base culture problem. Black culture promotes broken speaking. It's defended as their culture. But like, has it ever occurred to you that like, and I'm not even saying this is what I don't know if you can really say black culture as if it's a monolith, right? I don't think that's really fair to say. But let's say it is. Has it ever occurred to you that the reason why that happens is a holdover from the fact that they weren't taught the English in the right way? Because they didn't have like access to proper education less than 100 years ago? Like how this is a generational thing, urban culture. Yeah, exactly. And also there's plenty of white people that speak broken English too, right? And so no. All right, they did have access? Okay, guys, I'm gonna be real. I don't think that most of the people in this chat want to have an honest conversation about this topic. I think that they just want to go on and on about how it's black fatigue or some bullshit. I'm not about that. I think that, yeah, obviously, like, there are issues each race has, sure, right? Like, whatever. But the main fucking thing is antisocial behavior. I'm not going to comment on, like, black people's issues. I'm not black. But I can say for a white person, I think white people have issues themselves. But the thing is that I think that it's antisocial, aggressive behavior that makes people uncomfortable. And if you can't call that out because you're afraid of being racist, you need to look at what the reason for that is and stop blaming it on the individual person. Or sorry, stop blaming it on groups of people. So yeah, that's all I'm really trying to say. And so it's caveman behavior. Yeah. And so like, because people always try to get me to make comments on this because I'm like, I think that I'm probably one of the only people, if not the only person, that talks about this in a way that's not one-dimensional. Like, most people either talk about this, like, everything about this is totally racist, this guy's an Uncle Ruckus, or they talk about this guy, they say, oh, yeah, like, this is why we need to bring back, you know, like, all these things, like, dog whistle for, like, you know, segregation, or, like, racist shit, or, like, Klan shit, right? Like, I feel like I'm probably one of the only people that comments on this and talks about it in a way that's honest. And I'm not trying to glaze myself right now. I'm just trying to say it's the truth. And that's it. The chat's a hive mind right now? No, I know that. Have you noticed there's a lot of people, racist people in chat recently? I'll explain why there's been a lot of racist people in chat. It's actually very simple. The reason why is because I discuss race issues. And so, like, if I discuss race issues, you're going to get racist people in chat. That's what's going to happen. And so, like, because obviously if you have conversations about this, you're going to have people that are mad. Why are people so one-sided? Because the reason why people are one-sided is because people think that ceding any ground in a conversation or an argument means that you lose. But the fact is that you do lose if you don't cede ground because you're operating on a false premise. And I think that's the way a lot of these people are happening. This isn't historically correct. The black vernacular actually came from white Southerners carrying over the accents for English. It's not about education, it's historical holdover. Well, yes, but the historical holdover is in the same with the education. It's not like you can't separate the two things. Having a lack of access to education was not something that black people had a monopoly on. There were a lot of white people that also didn't have access to good education. But I was saying, as a proportion, if you look at demographics and percentages, of course you're going to have a higher percent. Like, how do people have such a hard time with percentages? and like per capita statistics. Why is it so hard for people to understand this? See, we need to get rid of Algebra 2, and we need to replace it with statistics. And if you can't read a fucking graph, you should not be able to graduate high school. If you don't understand what a percentage of a percentage is, you know, a sample size is, you don't get to leave high school. Or if you do, you leave high school and you go right to the coal mines immediately, and you can't vote. You never vote until you can read a graph. And if you can't read a graph, you ain't voting. That's it. 80-20 rule? It's not even that, bro. Like, it's crazy. And I don't even know what the hell to say, man. People arguing probably didn't graduate high school. Yeah, I know. And blacks don't have a decreased access to education. That's a lie. You didn't listen to anything that I said. And this is the reason why. Actually, you know what? Let's move on. It's very clear that a lot of people in chat are brainwashed. And I think that they're so ideologically captured in one direction with this topic that it's not even worth having a conversation about, because nobody wants to approach this in good faith. And I'm not blaming the people in chat. It's not you guys' fault. Like, really there's like 10 people, 20 people that are doing this, right? There's like fucking 40,000 people in the chat. There's a few people that are bad actors, right? I understand it's not everybody, but like, I don't want to go and talk about this and get into it, because I just feel like on the internet in general, nobody wants to talk about this in a fair way. They don't. It makes me frustrated, man. Misinterpretations and malinterpretations. It's the malinterpretations is the problem. So apparently some Decoy Voice made a video about me. Oh boy.
Asmongold versus Hassan isn't quite like
geez.
The Rock fighting John Cena, but like when John Cena shows up when you're just about to go. As a
Google DeepMind VO3. It's crazy. Oh shoot! Is Dan gonna screen? We have no screen share.
No.
Dan, can you do example from prompt streamer getting a victory royale with just his pickaxe?
Yep.
This is absolutely mind blowing. Dan, hit them with that, and then I'm gonna look over there for when it's done playing because I got to tell you guys, like I follow the tech space. I'm reasonably attuned with the AIs that the kids are fooling around with. If you didn't tell me that this was completely generated, like the dude in the corner, the environment, the player model, if you didn't tell me that this was AI generated, I would not know.
It's gonna be really bad.
And this is just like, this is not even the scariest example. Dan, Dan, can you cue up that pharmaceutical commercial?
Oh, this one's brutal.
Dude, this is incredible. Okay, I'm gonna not talk over this one. Oh, as soon as Dan's ready.
Thing worked.
Every day felt heavy. I felt trapped.
Playing now.
Then I tried Puppermin.
Our prescription helps your body secrete a special pheromone that attracts puppies.
I took the pill before bed, and when I woke up, there he was, the love of my life.
The pill does not target depression directly, but we've found that it's
back to us.
There's people in chat being like, wait, this is generated. It's not. Zenith is like, yeah, that looks like AI. This is gonna fool over 90% of people.
Over 90?
Yeah.
This is gonna fool over 99% of
Probably.
people. There's a couple little things, like
I don't think
the dog's tongue.
Yeah.
When he's licking the guy, it like
a little oddly lagged and does some stuff.
It does some weird stuff.
I don't think we saw it, but I think there's two ladies sitting on a couch, and the one, one part of her hair doesn't move with her head while the other part does. There's little things.
There's little things. But that was made with apparently $500 worth of credits.
Yep.
That's wild.
Which, like, that means in a year or two, it's...
And buddy who made it, so at PJACCETTURO over on Twitter, PJA says, I used to shoot $500,000 pharmaceutical commercials. I made this for $500 in VO3 credits in less than a day. He also says, okay, I hate this, but he also says, what's the argument for spending $500,000 now? And like, I hate that.
He's not wrong.
He's not the only person asking that question.
Yeah.
And I promise...
when, you know, the whole ethics conversation around pharmaceutical companies, I suspect they're not going to mind. Especially when, I don't know if you've seen it, but almost every American pharmaceutical company spends more on marketing than they do on R&D. So, like, if they can drop that marketing budget and not increase the R&D budget,
then surely they could lower prices.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going to come back to the other stuff in our Google I.O. roundup because that's the only part of it that I wanted to talk about that, yes, I am tying back to people playing LAN games. I have a theory. My theory, and maybe it's just the kind of thing that I tell myself when I crawl into my bed and pull my covers up and get into a fetal position every night and go, oh my God, the world. I have a theory.
We're all doing a lot of that lately.
When nothing online is real, the players I'm playing against who are realistically, in many cases, aimbotting.
I like this.
Okay? Or the news stories that I'm seeing in my social media feed, or the the questions and answers that I'm looking at on Reddit. Remember we talked about that that undisclosed study that educational institute did, where they were just like having bots interact on r/ChangeMyMind. You know, when nothing is real, we're all gonna go, you know what? F it, and get offline.
Oh.
We're gonna just like, we're gonna play video games in person. We're gonna demand LAN play. And if gaming companies won't put LAN functionality into their games, then we'll be like, all right, I'm gonna play CS 1.6.
I don't remember where I read this, but I have read that apparently there's been an increase in like more provably bespoke products being demanded by consumers.
Yeah.
Because there's the whole like, oh, it's an Etsy shop and they make it themselves for sure.
Yeah.
But it's actually just from Alibaba.
Yeah, that's such another perfect example of like everything.
It's all fake.
Everything just being mass-produced slop.
So there's been an increase in like, I want to buy this product and I want a video of you making it. Like that type of stuff.
Oh, well, this.
Like, oh yeah.
Make a video of me making this product. But
if it's custom, it's going to be a little bit harder to match the physical product that shows
it will.
up. Yeah.
It will.
Like actually a lot harder.
It will. Dude, maybe, okay. But like there's no point being for or against AI progress because it's
going to happen.
The horse bolted from the pen at this point ages ago.
Anyone still having the conversation of like, should we do this or not, is just behind.
Yeah. So
unfortunately.
So realistically, it doesn't matter what the next thing I say is. If I say I'm for it or against it, it is irrelevant, right?
Yep.
But maybe that's the one comforting thought that could make me go, okay. Maybe that's the positive outcome that might come from this. But then the thing that made me hesitate to even say that is like, even with how bad AI replications have been, and with how like identifiable, scams have been for many years. The video's not up yet. It should be coming very soon. That collab we did with Kit Boga.
Yeah.
Right? if people are still being fooled by Nigerian prince emails effectively, it's going to be so long before my hopeful outcome could ever possibly happen, before this information about misinformation and disinformation propagates enough that we all just go, you know what, basically I just don't believe anything, forget it.
And you can help arm some people, but it'll never work for everybody. I mean, there's the problem of like some of those Nigerian prince scams. They include things like weird typos and things that could tip you off on purpose, because they're trying to weed out people that are actually paying attention.
I did not ever think about
Yeah, that's like a thing apparently. But I wonder if that bar gets higher, the easier it is to be more and more convincing all the time.
I think so.
I feel like it would.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, I think more people are going to get scammed. I mean, now that you could just generate, you know, a photorealistic Linus that will show you his tech tip and ask you to respond. Like I actually saw someone on the
Reddit,
the subreddit that was saying that a scammer used my name and was apparently giving away MacBooks, which should have been your first clue. Why would anyone want that? I would know better. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Andy, relax. It's okay.
So last week we talked about Mind's Eye and how the previews that they gave were not great. I mean, this is the game that's headed up by a former Rockstar producer. It's being put together by Build a Rocket Boy is the name of the company and the studio. And the preview, we watched Maddie's, a bit of Maddie's take on it because he was at the preview. But even calling it a preview is pretty generous, because what happened is at some point in the last couple of weeks, they held a digital only preview, which is effectively just a Discord call or a Zoom call. And they did a hands-off demo, which is like if we're on a Discord call and I just stream the footage to you off of my computer. Like it, again, calling it a preview is, it's generous. It's generous. So it's a hands-off preview. Bear in mind, this launches on June 10th as of right now. As of right now, still. It's not been delayed. As of right now, it launches June 10th. And they are still doing hands-off previews. And even crazier, the most insane thing Maddie said in that whole video was that they had to turn on invulnerability 2 separate times because the quests were so broken you couldn't get any further unless you turned on God mode. Like what? Unbelievable. Like I have never in my life heard of something like that happening, where they, like the game is so broken this close to launch that they had to turn on God mode. It's like going in and playing a Bethesda game and you do, you know, tilde TGM, toggle God mode. I've never heard of that happening, but that's how busted the game was during that period. While they're trying to showcase it and convince you it's really good. And this is, you know, not to mention tons of other performance issues, frame drops, and various bugs and glitches. But it's, I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise because there was something off with this game always. There's just something weird about it. My personal theory is that the project Everywhere, which is the other thing that they are working on, was supposed to be a big NFT project. That kind of fell apart, of course, because NFTs kind of went belly up. And so now they're trying to find a way to get this out the door because this was supposed to be a part of that. And they're just trying to get it shoved out so they can get some cash because I think they're running out of money. And so this is the best that they have, which is why they might not actually delay it, even though clearly it needs a delay. Maybe with how negative the reception was at the previews, they'll listen now, but I mean, they still haven't delayed it. They still haven't after all this time. So we thought that we were just going to hear nothing until a delay was announced or until the game launched. But Game Roll actually put this together and got some clips of reviews. Now, if you're not familiar, there are websites you can go, I think Glassdoor is one of them, where you can go and leave a review for your employer. So if you work at Best Buy, you can leave a review for your employer. And if you work at Take-Two or at Ubisoft or EA or whatever, you can leave reviews, which is a good way of you communicating to future applicants what it's like to work there. Now, these should always be taken with a grain of salt because there's often like fake reviews mixed in here, and you'll see trolls kind of pretending to be an employee and joke about it. But when you start to see like a dozen reviews and they all consist of like a common thread of narratives, that should tell you something actually is going on here. So as you can see here, Game Roll clips these, and we're going to read through a couple tidbits of this, which it's going to blow your mind. But reminder, these are some of the reviews of what it's like to work at Build Rocket Boy, developers of Mind's Eye, from former employees. Sounds like a terrible workplace ran by egotistical executives. Leslie Benzies was also a huge player during the crunch era at Rockstar, FYI. Yeah, this is, so Leslie Benzies is the guy that they've been using as their claim to fame. Like, hey, you should check out Everywhere, the project. You should check out Mind's Eye because it's run by this guy, Leslie Benzies, who was at Rockstar through the creation of, as you can see, Red Dead, GTA Online, GTA 5, like an OG. But when he was at Rockstar, I mean, it's not like it was a dream place to work. They put out some good stuff, but doesn't mean that he'll necessarily be capable of running any company just because he moved over. So what are some of these specifics that they bring up? Well, pros. This was left January of 2025. So this is left before all of this like drama has started with the previews being bad. An anonymous employee worked for more than a year, said, in January 27th, pros, free soup in the office, good salary, but very little increase over the years, and promise of a decent bonus, 30%, to keep people staying. Cons, culture of blame, lies, and bullying at the very top. Younger, inexperienced members of staff are used as collateral to take the blame for decisions made beyond their control, but they're asked to carry out. The only people who survive are the ones who say yes to and feed this co-CEO egos. Everyone else with a voice or an opinion that differs are pushed out. Clear favoritism and special treatment for those who say yes are the most ridiculous things. The entire executive team suddenly vanished over about the span of a year with very little explanation and were replaced with people with no expertise. People know that if you're called by HR, they vanish you in the middle of the day and are never spoken about again. There's even a review lower down in this thread that refers to employees as passengers who should be exited. The products are late and mediocre, and blaming it on things like it's because people work 9 to 5 will not change that. Overall, can only liken it to feeling like that name that was playing music on the Titanic as it sank. Another one, perfect example of how meritocracy is a doomed farce. Pros, you might meet some amazing people on the front line in that small window between joining and one/both of you being made redundant with 24-hour notice. A common thread that they fire people very suddenly without notice. It's a sad byproduct of capitalism that the most of us will end up working beneath the petulant children of the elite who inevitably fail upwards through life. This company is the worst example of this I've ever witnessed. The upper management openly admit their goal is a culture of fear and consistently pass all blame off to the lower orders. I'm still amazed at some of the company policies designed specifically to protect the fragile ego of the CEO. For the day-to-day, it's a constant battle between the talented developers and clueless leadership, knee-jerking like ragdolls from GTA 4 to the whims of the CEO, without any regard to what would actually make a game good. Said CEO is the type to actually read this between making a delusional 5-star review. So I say, hi there, grow up, accept responsibility for your own failures for once in your life, and apologize to those unfortunate enough to still be relying on you. Also, I'm amazed GTA 5 ever even got released in spite of you. Advice to management, so much of the damage is done already. The only way I can see you salvaging this in any way is to have upper management step down and transition to a worker-owned cooperative. Then, and only then, might something halfway decent come of all this. And it keeps going. There's even more. Mix of intelligent people, semi-interesting projects. I think it speaks volume that for every 1-star review, a passive-aggressive 5-star review rears its head. And also, look at how many likes the 1-star review gets in comparison. They're the ones speaking nothing but the truth. This is one thing you'll see if you go to Glassdoor. There's people leaving 5-star reviews, but it really seems like some of them have been left by maybe butthurt managers and executives that are trying to save the average rating. Because like there's plenty of companies that are toxic and stupid. Like there's plenty of companies that are terrible, and they let you vote poorly on their like the Glassdoor website or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, okay, yeah, you don't like it, quit, leave. But it's pretty petty to go and then leave like fake 5-star reviews. Like it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. GT says, I got paid to leave a 5-star review at your old company. Yeah, my old company did that. They deleted all negative reviews and only have 5 stars. Yeah, pretty toxic, right? Pretty toxic. They continue. That's without even talking about the reviews that have either been rejected or deleted. The company went through an intense leadership change last year, which resulted in some of the most bizarre handlings of dismissals and redundancies I've seen, which included bullying and harassment, among other concerning behaviors. Benefits, including sick pay, were significantly scaled back in place of justifying a very weird meritocracy. But effectively, they're just asking people to do more with less. Senior leaders don't communicate with any level of competency and will say one thing to your face and do another. It's an echo chamber of yes men, a blame culture from the top down. People are scared to take accountability, so instead they just point fingers at others. Again, when you start to see a common thread, when everybody's saying the same things, management's incompetent, it's a culture of fear, it's a culture of punishment, finger pointing, and the only way you move up is by being a yes man. Like, it's bad. And it should tell you that there's probably something actually happening here. Yeah, there's this one. Crunch. The studio's in full crunch for months, veiling as focus time, bug bash, do your damn job. You do not get overtime, so you're salaried on a very low salary for the industry. You will struggle to take holiday. This is due to the constant crunch. Little to no notice is given for changing timelines. Be prepared to cancel your approved holiday because leadership cannot plan ahead for more than 5 days in advance. Again, it sounds like the company is a total disaster. GameRoll also points out they've been running official ads on Reddit capitalizing on the stupid GTA 6 comparisons. The studio is absolutely crooked. I can't understand anybody who's excited for Mindsight at this point. Previews sound terrible with how the studio functions. Yikes. Yeah, it's I hope people don't fall for it, but there's going to be some like 12-year-olds who fall for it thinking that this is like a GTA clone that will get them by until the game comes out, and they're going to be pretty disappointed, I feel, when they see it. DB clipped this one. The CEO made one of the biggest revenue generators of all time in 2013. It's safe to say that games have moved on since. However, the methodology of I am always right and you will cater for that audience of one has not. The CEO simply does not process anyone's view other than his own, and frantic last-minute feedback and abject panic from investors. It results in delayed decision-making, as some of the things requested simply cannot be implemented, or if they are implemented, they are incomplete, inaccurate, or simply not good enough because they have not had the time or care required. There are so many talented and skilled people who work at this company who have their work scrubbed, neutered, or radically altered due to last-minute changes. These late changes continually blight releases and demonstrations. This might have been how games were made in a crunch environment with unlimited resources a decade ago, but it is not how they're made now. There are not infinite resources to throw at the problem, and everyone has a burnout limit. The expectation at BARB is that that burnout limit is higher than anywhere else in the industry. It's just across the board. You cannot find, like, as far as I can tell, a genuinely positive review. And this type of toxic environment typically breeds games that are broken and busted and are not ready for prime time. Like, there's a reason why when you see a game that flops, you typically see like the company behind the scenes was dysfunctional. Oh yeah, you remember him? This is that guy. This is him. Allegedly, he's the head honcho who's super toxic. This was at the State of Play.
I'm Leslie Benzies, director of Mind's Eye, Builder Rocket Boy's new action adventure set in the fictional city of Red Rock, where AI and human greed collide to bring Earth to the precipice of collapse. All captured on PlayStation 5 Pro. We're now proud to share some gameplay footage with the explosive combat and high-octane driving that you can expect on PlayStation 5 later this year.
Probably should be later this year if you're having to turn on God mode. That's pretty bad, dude. Pretty bad. I've never in my life seen something like that. I've never in my life seen it. Pretty bad. But I do think you can start to get the feeling where it's like, I helped make Rockstar's magnum opus. I helped make Grand Theft Auto 5. You're going to listen to me. I'm in charge. You know, it's a dangerous game to play, because if you are if your entire company is about following the edicts of the tyrant at the top, allegedly, that can work if the tyrant knows what he's doing. But the moment he doesn't, he drives the whole ship into the ground, you know? And I think that's the danger with some of these companies is that they have somebody who thinks they know what they're doing and they just don't. Like, if everybody is following the prescriptions of what Hidetaka Miyazaki is telling you to do, okay, fair. It's probably going to work out. It's probably going to work out. But with this guy, I mean, you can tell by the product. If the previews are all universally, not just bad, but extremely negative, that should be a wake-up call. Because you guys remember, somebody said like, oh, well, previews usually are really, really positive, and you know, you can't tell much from them. No, I mean, do you remember when the Suicide Squad preview came out? Oh my God, I forgot about this one. Like, again, just reverse the roles. You remember this?
Harley, no! Worth it.
Imagine if Captain Boomerang went up to Harley's butt as they freeze and like grabbed her butt just to be like, ha, worth it. Can you imagine the meltdown people would have? But yeah, for Suicide Squad, it's fine because it's Harley. It's just, the whole thing was so stupid and toxic. But this preview was also very, very negative, and the game ended up being even worse. This is also from Destin, friend of the channel. But this ended up being, you know, a quite poor and negative review, and the game ended up being worse. So just imagine if Mind's Eye, the previews end up being even worse. The final product's even worse than the previews were. Be pretty impressive. Frankly, it'd be pretty impressive, but I wouldn't put it past him considering where it's at right now. I think it's not that surprising that it's having this trouble, that it's struggling, because the game's always looked a little fishy. And it's been paired to this Everywhere project, which is supposed to be a new platform for you to make like your own missions and quests and things in games, which sounds cool, but it was announced right around the time of the NFT craze. And so the suspicion has always been that it was supposed to have NFTs as like the primary primary mode of monetization, that you buy a skin and then it's an NFT you can carry across different experiences within the game. And then when that went belly up, they just had nothing else, you know, to show for it. So they just didn't know how to monetize it. It's the vibe I get. Maybe they never actually planned on NFTs, but it gives that vibe, and you got to kind of pause and wonder, why does it give you that vibe if it was never the plan, you know? So who knows? But the Mind's Eye stuff is really toxic, and it just seems more and more, the more we find out about it, the worse it gets, which is the opposite of what should be happening when you advertise your game. So my big recommendation to them would be delay the game by 6 months to a year. Don't crunch your devs. Announce that you're not. Hold yourself accountable publicly. No more crunch, and you just focus on finishing the game, getting it to a good spot. Do that, might have a decent, solid game on your hands. But if you try to shove this out in June, we will mock it, we will crucify it, and you know, it'll be good for me in terms of content. I'll get plenty of content out of that. I love a dumpster fire, but I'm encouraging you, do the right thing for your company, your employees. Delay it, give it time, don't crunch, and get across the finish line. I don't think they'll do that, but I would love to be proven wrong. We'll see.
That's my title. But this is just a demo. The game isn't out, so yeah. Yeah. Let's try it for B75. Might be good. Start demo. Oh, yeah. +1. Day 1. It's supposed to have like this white. Oh, where's fine. Can't believe it's Ella, Mika, and Fextra. Yep, the dream team. Can just sit and ask Fextra about info about stuff I don't know. I remember the storm, the waves, then going under. I woke to a voice giving me orders. I don't know where I am, but at least I'm alive. I fear I may not make it to Tish. Fextra's there? Yeah, we're in teams. There's gonna... They've announced, like, everything, right? I don't want to, like, fucking break anything. Where am I tagged? Yeah, here. Yeah. Ella, Mika, and Fextra are ready to enter the realm of Red Bull location and dive into Elden Ring and Night Rain, May 25th. Yeah. Yeah, so they've announced it, yeah. So it's a little competition that's going on. It's not gonna be a Red Bull incident, chat. Don't worry, alright? Don't worry. Oil. Current layer. Oh, you go to layers? Okay. Operation. Check layer type on monitor. Select tool with lever. Use handle to pull tool down. Lock clamp arms. Start the rig. Okay. Rock. Well, you probably won't. This is oil. This is that. Okay. Yep. Select tool with lever. Okay. Oh, this is... Wait. Instructions unclick. Oh, here. Oh, cool. I'm locking it in. You said about lock clamp arm, start the rig. Alright. Hey, this is chill. I like this game. And then we gotta stop here. Oil. Clamp. Switch. Down. Bonk. Suck. Rock. Clamp.
Hey,
up,
you.
Boom. Down. Boom. This is quite easy. How is this gonna scare you? I wonder. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just one of them working games. Okay, we gotta proceed to the new location. Alright, so we've done that. That's cool. Oxygen is a privilege granted by the directive. Oh shit, you have like hammer and shit here. PM God, thanks to the 5, dude. Yeah. Thanks to the 5 months also. Thank you.
Hey, you.
fuck that. Put the power back, please. Thank you. Okay, so oil piece of shit. Dist angle. Oxygen
Hey, you.
level fair. Well, I mean, we're getting there, I guess. Oh shit, I have a fucking map. Whoops. Ah, fuck. I didn't realize I had a map. Ah. I got it. No worries. Oh shit, there's a lot of water here now. How do you suck the water out? Is Twitch tracker wrong or does Fakesure not even stream anymore? Fakesure doesn't stream on Twitch anymore. That I know of. How do I get the water away? Maybe it gradually just does.
It's a bug! I think I went the wrong way. Yep. Max Hoss! That's more like it. Is my mic volume turned down? It is. I don't know why. No yoke it is. Go drill. Okay. I mean, it's higher now again. I might have accidentally, like, bonked it, I guess. Alright, well, this is easy peasy. I'm gonna drill some rock. I'm gonna oil. And then I'm gonna rock. I'm gonna rock Oh, what the fuck is this? Pressure valve? That doesn't. Ah! Okay, so what the hell do I do with the pressure? Well, let's move this shit.
Okay, so you have to relieve pressure occasionally. Keep it in the green, I guess. Alright, well, that's good to know. 'Tis a learning lesson, in it. Yeah, I got left out, Seba, I did. Unfortunately. Oh shit. True, Salad, there it is. True, true. I think we gosh darn did it. Failure to meet quota, reducing oxygen. How the fuck did I fail to do the quota? Are you dumb? Bro, I'm not gonna make that. There's no way I'll make that, like, ever. I already beat that Bastinat. It's on YouTube, bruv. Chat, you can't giga chat that message when it's false. Man thinks I didn't win Dark Souls 2 rando when I did. Yeah, Sweden's banning OnlyFans. Yeah. Oh, it hasn't been voted on yet, but it's a motion as presented. Oh, okay. Am I dead here and there's nothing I can do? Only buying custom services such as camming live. No, I haven't played this one. This is just the demo of this game. This game is not fully out. Oh, here's the next one. Maybe I'll have time to meet the quota. There's no sea monsters in this game, is there? Alright, we're good. Let's go fast. Rock. Come on, meet the quota. Hey, faster. She have 2.5 minutes to do this. Give me good RNG on these layers. Fuck me. Fuck. I don't have, it's over. I don't have time for that. I forgot, dude. I forgot. I don't have time for that. It's over. It's over, chat. It was a good run, but it's over. Wait, I should do that as I'm oiling. Okay, we're good. Remove this, remove that. Switch the drill. Down, clamps, drill. Relieve pressure. Shit, what? Oil.
don't know how much time there is left. We might be F here. 1:14. Oh, that's 2 rock and then a shitload of oil. Good RNG. Oh, wait, if you do too much, the fucking power goes off instead? Oh my god. Wait, I have...
Hey,
okay. Go, please. Shit. Clamp. Switch. Stress. 30 seconds. 30 seconds of oxygen. Please. What do you mean? Suck oil. What is this rigging? It's oil. Suck the oil. Oh, now you're fucking working. Okay, what a joke.
Hey, you.
Company, I did it. Company, give me oxygen. Yes. Oh. All right. Drain my water too. All right. What? Oh. Okay. I mean, I'll play this on release. There's probably some Cthulhu stuff in it. I imagine so. Yo, someone linked me a Kraken movie trailer. What was that? I mean, I could probably just YouTube it myself.
What I criticize NVIDIA for is multifaceted. And I guess that actually transitions us perfectly into our next topic, which is RTX 5060 and, in general, NVIDIA's current kerfuffle with the media very, very broadly. NVIDIA's level of control is unlike almost any other company in the industry. I would say Apple and NVIDIA are the two kind of birds of a feather that I point to when I look at the level of control that they maintain over their product, their image and branding, their partners, the media. They both exercise it in their own special, unique ways. I mean, I remember that video that Marquez and Mr. Who's the Boss did like ages ago, talking about the way that companies can control the narrative through access. Neither of them named Apple, which I thought was curious at the time. I was kind of sitting there going, companies that refuse to work with you if you can criticize the product, but if you talk about them the wrong way, they refuse to work with you. We don't mention them in our video about companies that do that, but I get it. Yeah, so Apple is a great example of you've got to kind of play the game, and they don't tell you what the rules are, so you just have to err on the side of not saying the wrong things to make sure that you stay on the list, right?
Yeah.
NVIDIA doesn't do things that way. NVIDIA, for the most part, actually takes criticism. We've criticized NVIDIA a lot over the years. They've generally been okay about taking criticism from the media, and I suspect the reason for it is it used to be that, in general, they saw the benefit of working with media and understood that they had to take their lumps. And then now I think it's because they just kind of don't care. I think it's because it's just sort of irrelevant. So the reason has changed, but in general, they've taken criticism from the media.
Yeah, they seem to take criticism, but they can be pushy about the message that they want.
Oh, they can be.
They don't care if you like go after them.
They can be pushy, and they can be petty, and they can be vindictive.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Big on that last one.
Big on that last one. And I've talked in the past about how I do think that it is a fundamental cultural issue at the company.
Yeah.
I think it comes from the top down. But in general, they have mostly sort of, tried to work with the media, but they also have their own issues. And it goes way back. Was it the 1080 launch, the one where you guys were stuck in a room with no internet while NVIDIA basically did the entire announcement that prior to that, they would have briefed the press and the press would have done it. And they've slowly taken over the role of spreading the news about NVIDIA that the media used to have and made it NVIDIA's job.
I don't remember the exact details, but if I remember correctly, they didn't tell us stuff like the price and a few other like really key things that if you published an announcement video, you would really expect to have. And they kept those for the keynote. And then the keynote was like really long and we couldn't really leave during it. And then after the keynote, we were stuck in this weird location where like nobody had internet, there was no appropriate places to film, and there was a Deadmau5 concert super loud in a relatively small building so that you could still hear it when you're outside. So you couldn't actually record because you just get, I mean, I'm not saying that Deadmau5 himself would necessarily do this, just to be clear, but like I'm assuming he's under some form of label that might try to copy strike your video or whatever. So like it was a very complicated situation and it was very intentional.
Yeah. So NVIDIA's control, I guess what I'm saying is it's weird. And it changes, right? That's the thing that I think a lot of people miss when we talk about a company, is moves that NVIDIA pulled 10 years ago were not executed by the same people that are, pulling moves today. So, back to managing pricing. Yes, NVIDIA absolutely put undue pressure on their board partners to meet MSRP targets that were not sustainable for their businesses.
Yeah, it's a different problem.
We saw a large number of NVIDIA board partners disappear over the last 10, 15 years. However, I don't have a reason to believe just yet that Intel is doing the other problematic part of that NVIDIA was doing, where they are not providing their board partners with adequate margin for survival. That was the issue, was that NVIDIA was forcing this artificially low price while slowly chipping away the margin that they were leaving for their board partners in that target price.
I think this type of stuff, including a lot of other things, is why EVGA ended up bailing.
NVIDIA also put extremely restrictive, I was going to say the word guidelines, but they're less guidelines and more pirate law. They put extremely restrictive guidelines in place for their board partners in terms of the types of products they could build in order to differentiate their own brand. Like, GeForce Partner Program. GeForce Partner Program, which was called out many years ago by Kyle from Hard OCP. He was the one who ended up, I think he's probably been blackballed by NVIDIA more times than the current crop of YouTubers combined.
Yeah.
Kyle from Hard OCP did a really great job of investigating the GeForce Partner Program, which was this extremely restrictive system that NVIDIA put in place for their partners that controlled everything from what kinds of products they could build to what they could clock them at to how they could package them and message them. So if you've noticed over the last 10 years that GeForce boards have gotten more and more samey and boring, even down to the packaging.
Extremely so.
You ever notice the packages all look the same now?
Even this one.
Yeah, of course. It's got, it has all the requirements.
And they used to be so fun.
That's what NVIDIA does. We have a topic about that too, actually.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't read the whole doc yet, but
No.
that one's going to be pretty fun. So yes, putting pressure on your partners, okay, to maintain pricing in the channel or whatever. Yes, that is something that I have criticized NVIDIA for, but it's part of the broader NVIDIA behavior that puts their partners in a position of constant fear. You talk to an NVIDIA partner off the record, and you kind of go, okay, well, like, yeah, why don't you just take some of those GPUs that you got and put them on like a cool small form factor card? And we're like, because
Dad wouldn't like that.
We're afraid. Yeah, Dad will never give me another GPU again. Dad will take my allocation of GPUs, which I do still make money on, and I need to make money on because I spent all this development cost building these dad-approved products. He'll just take my allocation for that quarter and give it to my biggest competitor. And I don't know for a fact, allegedly, I don't know for a fact that they would do that, but I've heard this fear consistently enough from enough of Dad's children.
Oh yeah.
That I think I kind of believe it.
Yeah.
So that's.
Oh, that thing happened, by the way.
Oh, nice.
So screen is completely locked, and I have to sleep it, and then wake it up again, and it'll work fine.
So if you've ever wondered what happened, do you remember those really cool little ASRock mini desktops that used MXM laptop GPUs? You ever wonder what happened to those? You ever wonder why there was never updated mobile GPU things for a particular generation of laptops? You ever wonder why Framework has only Radeon as options? You ever wonder any of these things? It's because, allegedly, NVIDIA's partners are terrified. Not petrified would be the right word, because they won't act.
Yeah.
They are petrified of running afoul of NVIDIA by producing a product that NVIDIA hasn't signed off on. And I got to tell you, some of the off-the-record conversations I've had, so I can't repeat these because they would be too identifiable.
Right.
Some of the off-the-record conversations that I've had about NVIDIA's logic for why these products can't exist, dude, it is some moon logic. Like, makes literally no technical sense. Like Fall of an Empire, people who have no idea what any of this is are making decisions that have no basis in logic or reality. And it's very troubling. However, I was chatting with Alex, and he has a theory that, hold on, we should do a recap of the 5060, okay? So 5060, it's 8 gigs, 128-bit bus, it's $300. It loses to the 3060 Ti and Arc B580 in some tests. Multiple creators like Hardware Unboxed, Jay's 2 Cents, Paul's Hardware Digital Foundry, and more have criticized both the card, and this is where we get into sort of NVIDIA's not playing ball fairly. I've talked about this phrase a lot, I think, in the last couple of years, is good faith. You know, what does good faith mean? Engaging in good faith, right? It means that, being for the most part, right, forthright, honest, working together on, a solution that benefits everybody. And I think that's what the media asks for from companies, right? Is can we work together in good faith, understanding the value that we each bring to the table? I understand, NVIDIA, the value that you are bringing to the table by providing me with the card early so that I can test it and evaluate it. That has a positive effect on my business.
That also has a positive effect on the audience. Positive effect on the audience.
Yeah, so that has a positive effect on my business. It also has a positive effect on the audience, who gets to have all the reviews, multiple perspectives, which Luke and I have always stressed is extremely important, all of which had ample time to put together their analysis and present it in a way that is professional and thorough.
Without being pushed or forced, really, to say anything in particular.
Very key, very key. And that's part of NVIDIA's benefit. What NVIDIA gets in return is the credibility of these quotes that, hey, this card is good, or it's really well optimized for that they can then use to market that card without having to pay for it. Actually, my understanding is a lot of publications do charge for them to have the logo or the badge or the quote or whatever. We don't, but in a lot of cases, that's the quid pro quo, is we get access to the card so that we can do a great job. You get more thorough, more complete information because everybody isn't rushing against each other to be the first to publish, and NVIDIA gets credible third-party validation of their claims about the product. That is everybody working together in good faith. And this launch has not been handled well. Reviewers were not given drivers in time for the initial embargo. We actually, it's kind of funny to me that right now, this time, exactly now, is when everybody's like really mad about this. We made a video 1 month ago now about the situation where NVIDIA wasn't providing drivers for the 8 gig variants of the 4060 series, and we basically said exactly what they've done now, which is it looks like what they're trying to do is they're trying to create an environment where all the reviews of when you search for keyword 4060 are going to be of the TI 16 gig, because they're just not even going to bother seeding these other cards, and they're going to kind of try to bury it and make sure that it doesn't get covered that much. So therefore, the best performing videos on the topic of 4060 are going to be for this card that performs markedly better. Hey, it came to pass. We're mad about it now. I don't know whose permission we were waiting for to be mad about, but hey, we're all on the same page now. But there's another layer that is actually worse, and this is not good. Some creators were given access to the drivers ahead of time, but only if they agreed to certain stipulations, like testing games at 1080p, including older cards like the RTX 2060 and 3060, or even requiring multi-frame gen results to be included. Now, I want to make this very clear. In our review of a 4068 gig, should we do one, we would seek to include older cards.
5060.
We would include, 5060. We would seek to include older cards because I think that's really relevant, especially if
you want to track what people would actually be upgrading from.
Large install base.
Yeah.
Okay. We would include multi-frame gen tests. We have done.
A lot of people are turning those settings on, even if a lot of people in the comments are really angry about it.
But what we wouldn't be doing is limiting our testing to that, because that does not paint the entire picture. So NVIDIA did exactly what I predicted they would do, but they actually took it a step further than I thought that they were capable of. And that last part, we should be extremely upset about. It's not the first time that NVIDIA has teased a card through select media. In fact, we have participated in that before. We were the first to game on the 3090. I think it was us and MKBHD went live with 3090 videos before the review embargo. But in that situation, it was clearly not a review. There were stipulations on what we could show, but all of that was communicated extremely transparently. It was a preview. Whereas
I also tend to not mind, like, if a manufacturer is like, hey, we really want to show off this particular use case, it's not necessarily a bad thing to include, but you should still include the things that you want to include, and you can mention in that part of your video, like, X manufacturer, X company, whatever, thinks this use case is important, and then give your opinion on why you agree or don't agree. I don't know. I think that's fine.
So, lame. And like,
not too surprised. It's kind of sad to me that NVIDIA seemed to get pretty cool leading up to the 5000 series launch.
Yeah.
and then they're just like, yeah, we're not releasing, new cards for probably like 2 years anyway, so
So I want to talk
whatever.
about that. I want to talk about that. I had a chat with Alex. We just like bumped into each other in the lobby because we're staying in the same hotel, things that happen.
Yeah.
And he had an interesting theory that NVIDIA's behavior right now is not born out of malice, but is born out of just utter incompetence. Hold on. Let me get there for a second. Give me a second to get there. When I was very specific about the words born out of. So his theory is that after the 5090, the 50 series, and his theory is like, there's a lot of evidence to back this up, is that the rollout of the 50 series has been a cluster.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was the black screening issue. There was the issue with cards not having the right number of CUDA cores in them.
They somehow managed to still ship that connector.
They shipped some with more. The engineering oversight on the 5090 with the pin balancing. What else has there been? Okay. I mean, there's the fact that they're announcing 5060 laptops here at Computex, and you still can't buy a 5070 laptop. Did you notice that?
I never put that together, but that's rough.
Well, dude, like,
Yeah.
I don't think that the GeForce side at NVIDIA is either being resourced correctly or prioritized.
There's that story. I don't know if we talked about it on WAN Show, if I just heard this somewhere, but Jensen was talking to their, whatever, I'm going to assume the title here, but like head of AI at NVIDIA, and said to imagine every NVIDIA employee standing in the parking lot and that they were all available and ready to work for AI. So basically you can loot any team in the company for whoever you want. And that, I'm sure that happened to GeForce to a certain degree.
So let's come back to my very specific wording. I don't think that this was born out of malice, but I think that once your back is against the wall, I think you start to find underhanded ways to dodge accountability. I think this is an exercise in butt covering. I think trying to cover up how crap 5060 is. I think this is never.
So I guess what you're saying is it wasn't premeditated.
Yes.
Things started to go bad, and then they did bad things.
Yes. That's my theory.
Okay.
That's my theory, because I think you and I have both met a lot of technical people at NVIDIA who would never dream of misleading about the product.
Sure.
The technical guys there are so good. NVIDIA literally built the industry standard tools for testing, frame times, and GPU power monitoring.
That tend to be like pretty well respected and fair.
They really care about, making a great product. So let's not imagine for a second that the technical folks there are not aware of issues.
Yeah.
Right? And if you talk to them about it, they're like, yeah, this one's like really good at this, and this is a challenge in this, scenario. And so if I had to guess, I'd say this just basically comes down to the same kinds of issues that, we'd run into with Intel during the stagnation years, where you just have, these business monsters, these executives that are just looking to cover their hide and figure out how to get their quarterly bonus by covering up the products that aren't that good, hoping the media won't notice or whatever. And it just sucks, because I feel bad for all those really incredible technical people who are really trying to build the best possible product.
I mean, that's fair. This is a similar story all the time, right? You have the same thing with developers at gaming companies. The people working on the thing itself are not making the marketing and business decisions at the company. but they catch a lot of the flack. And a lot of times, they're the ones making the thing, so it's their baby, so they feel the flack more heavily than some of the people making the decisions around how it's marketed, how it's communicated, stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw a really cool quote from someone at Take-Two that was basically just like, yeah, I don't know, Rockstar, we just leave them alone.
Yeah, the CEO.
Was it? Yeah, I don't know. I just came across it and I was like,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it was sweet. I wonder if I can find it.
Like, dude, can you imagine? I mean, okay, look, the technical folks don't always make sustainable business decisions. You know, sometimes
it's also a little privileged being like the company that owns Rockstar to be like, yeah, we just leave them alone. They just make billions of dollars, so we're just like, oh, it's fine. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yes, yes. And if Rockstar, you know, wasn't, you know, making what is it? They're still making like $250 million a quarter on GTA 5.
Yeah.
And I think over $200 million a quarter on Red Dead Redemption 2.
So apparently it's a, I can't show you guys, but a Games Radar article that says Take-Two